Morning everyone, it's Miss Reeve here. I'm going to read you chapter 16 of Peter Rabbit. There's not much left to go now, we've nearly finished. And I think Miss Ellis has got an exciting competition planned to decide who's going to read the last chapter. So chapter 16 is called Telling Bee the Truth. Outside Bee's cottage, Betty pulls up with her taxi, ready to take Bee away. Cottontail comes up with an idea to stall Bee's plans. She stuffs carrots into the taxi's tailpipe just as Bee gets in. Betty starts up the car and it conks out immediately. That means it doesn't go anywhere, it just breaks down. Just then, Mrs. Tiggywinkle scurries up, unseen by Betty or Bee, and backs her quilled behind up to the tyre. Quills are the spikes on a hedgehog, so her quilled behind means her spiky bottom. The tyre lets out a sad noise as it deflates. The taxi isn't going anywhere. The animals share smiles with each other. This is starting to feel a bit cartoony, says Bee with a sigh. Eventually, Betty manages to get the taxi up and running. She pulls the car away from the cottage towards the gate, but the animals are ready for this. Now! Yells Pigling Bland. Tommy Brock gives Felix de a little shove. Felix stops just in front of the taxi. He looks into the headlights, Felix says in a trance. Stupid daytime running lights? Sure, they save lives, but they don't help you get around a deer when you're trying to catch a train, says Betty. You know, cars have their lights on all the day, while deers get spooked by lights, and so they didn't really realise that the car was going to have its lights on in the daytime because not all cars do that. And now the deer is looking into the lights with its wide eyes and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. The bunnies gather around the gates. Cottontail is on alert. She puts her ear on the ground. A man's coming. On a motorcycle with two tiny men holding on. Cottontail hits her ear, trying to fix her signal. Two tiny men? Surely that can't be right. But sure enough, Mr. McGregor, Peter and Benjamin zoom up the road on a motorcycle, the rabbits holding on tight to Thomas. So the two tiny men were Peter and Benjamin. The taxi is finally free of Felix's trance and is heading out. Mr. McGregor slams on the brakes and slides up to the taxi. The sudden stop launches Peter and Benjamin from the bike. Thomas gets off and runs to Bee, who has watched the dramatic arrival and has clambered out of the taxi. Don't leave! You once said we all have a place in this world, and this is your place. You shouldn't have to leave it because of me. McGregor chokes a little on the dust kicked up by the motorcycle, and his words tumble from his mouth. Were they with you? Bee asks, looking from Mr. McGregor to Peter and Benjamin and back to Mr. McGregor. She's trying to get her head around what exactly is happening. They came to London and talked me into coming back. Well, probably didn't talk, probably all in my head, not the point, says McGregor, willing himself to focus. I love you, Bee, and I'm sorry I did this to you. You tried to kill them. You destroyed their home. You destroyed my home. Bee crosses her arms. I didn't mean for any of that to happen. We just got caught up in a fight, says McGregor, not explaining the situation that well at all. Our fight. You still blame them. Pathetic, says Bee, shaking her head. Let's go, Betty. Mr. McGregor starts towards Bee, but Betty steps in between them. Let's try to save what little dignity we have left, she suggests. That means don't embarrass yourself. It was all my doing. I take full responsibility, surrenders McGregor. My hero, admitting it was you who blew up their burrow, and not, as you claim, a rabbit pushing a detonator button, says Bee, unconvinced by McGregor and anything that he has to say. Benjamin, fearing that all is lost, jabs Peter. He has to do something. Peter grasps for an idea. Anything to help McGregor explain that it was not at all his fault. Peter's got it. He races towards the destroyed burrow. They all stop talking and watch Peter as he stops, picks something up and races back again. He goes to Bea and looks up at her. What do you think he's got? Are you okay, sweetie? Says Bea, kneeling down to Peter's level. Peter looked her in the eye. He's a humbled rabbit, but he's determined to help Bea understand. He takes out the remote control from his pocket and pushes it over and over. Click, click, click. You were part of this, she continues. Peter approaches Bea, then he puts his forehead to Bea's forehead, apologising. He's sorry. He's very, very sorry. I can't believe it, says Bea. She looks up at McGregor. He was telling the truth. This is a lot to process. We both love you, says McGregor, his voice soft and his heart on his sleeve. His heart wasn't really on his sleeve. That means when you say someone has their heart on their sleeve, that means that they're feeling really truthful about their emotions and telling you exactly how they feel. He walks towards Bea, petting Peter without realising. He's too distracted by just how beautiful she is. Forgive us? Peter looks into her eyes, and so does McGregor. Bea is at a loss, but before she can answer, a blast of noise breaks the tension in the air. A Range Rover comes tearing up the road at a ridiculous speed. It's driven by... That's the end of the page. You have to wait till tomorrow to find out who's driving the Range Rover. I hope you enjoyed the story. Bye, everyone.